Okay, so in this video, I'm just gonna basically continue with limits and what you should like be familiar with familiarize yourself with is this following equations. The limit when x goes to 0 of sine x divided by x, this is equals to 1. The limit when x goes to 0 of 1 minus cos x divided by x is equals to 0. Now this is the formula that you are basically familiar with, but it's not in a general sense. What I mean is like we can just generalize this and say it's sine ax, and we put ax here, and we can put cos ax and we put ax here, and this is more of a general formula of this. So this means that if we're trying to like evaluate the limit of sine 3x divided by 2x, the limit when x goes to 0 of sine 3x divided by 2x, you need to like manipulate this in order to give you this in this format. So what do we need? We have 3x in the numerator, that means we need 3x in the denominator. How do we get 3x in the denominator? Well, notice that you have 2 here. In order to get 3, that means that you multiply the denominator by 3 over 2. So you must also like multiply the numerator by 3 over 2. So you'll have something like this. Now you'll have this to be the same as the limit when x goes to 0 of 3 over 2 sine 3x. That's you multiply 3 over 2 by sine 3x. And now in the denominator, the 2 and the 2 will cancel, and then you'll have 3x. And then now, if you proceed, you'll have the limit. You can take the 3 over 2 outside, properties of limit. Then you'll have 3 over 2, the limit when x goes to 0 of sine 3x over 3x. Then this limit is known as what? It's 1. This limit is 1. So you'll have 3 over 2 into 1, which this is the same as 3 over 2, which is 1.5. So just familiarize yourself with these two formulae. Now, what about the limit of cos square x divided by x squared? What about the limit of 1? Let's put 1 here. Yeah, let's say the limit when x goes to 0 of 1 minus cos square x divided by x squared. So how can we evaluate this limit? How can we evaluate this limit? Now, notice that 1 minus, you have the identities of this. Remember, sine square x, since we know that sine square x plus cos square x, this will give us 1. And this means that 1 minus, if you subtract cos square x on both sides, if you subtract cos square x on both sides, on the left hand side will be left with sine square x, and on the right side we'll have 1 minus cos square x. So this basically means that you can do the transformation here, and then you'll have sine square x. This will be the same as sine square x divided by x squared. Now you can rearrange this and rewrite this as the limit when x goes to 0 of sine x divided by x all squared. So you can take the limit inside, properties of limits. You can take the limit inside, then you'll have the limit when x goes to 0. When x goes to 0 of sine x over x, and then the squares outside. You just basically took this limit inside. You can do that. That's properties of limits. Now basically this is what we were working out on. Now in this case our a to 1, so basically you can basically see that we now have we have this in this form. So basically you can evaluate that limit, so you'll get that limit to be 1, and 1 squared is 1. So that means the limit of this, the answer you'll get is gonna be 1. So this is basically how you can evaluate the limits with these two formulas. So you manipulate your equations in order to give you these two formulas, because these two formulas, we know them. The limit for this one it's 1, and the limit for this one it's 0. So you just manipulate the equation to give you what you have. This is basically what I did. There's nothing else to this. Now let's look at this problem. This problem, we are asked to evaluate the limit when x goes to 0 of this. Now notice that if x goes to 0, we'll have infinity over here. It's either negative or positive. We don't know the side for which this approaches infinity yet. Okay, so we have a problem in the denominator because we have 1 over x here, and we have a problem in the numerator because it also has 1 over x, and we're not allowed to divide by 0. Okay, so let's see where this goes. The limit when x goes to 0, then I'm gonna multiply 1 with x, and then I'll have x. Then you'll have x minus 1 divided by x. Now here you do the same. 1 times x, it's gonna be x. Then you're gonna have plus 1 here. Then you have x here. Now what you're gonna do is multiply both the numerator and the denominator by x. So this x will cancel this x, this x will cancel this x, and then you have the limit when x goes to 0 of x plus x minus 1 over x plus 1. Now what will be, now we can do a direct substitution. Let's first test. From the negative side, it's not going to affect anything, and also from the positive side, the limits will be equal. So that's what you need to check first. Sometimes the limit does not exist, but in this case it does. So the answer is going to be minus 1. So the answer is going to be minus 1 when this approaches 0. So this is basically how you evaluate limits. Okay, let's try this one. The limit when x goes to 5 of x squared minus 25. We're going to have let's say we have 2x minus 10. Now we are asked to evaluate the limit when x goes to 5 of 2x minus 10 divided by x squared minus 25. Now realize that we have a problem in the denominator. When x goes to 5, the denominator goes to 0, and we're not allowed to divide by 0. But now notice that the numerator in the same time goes to 0. 2x minus 10, when x goes to 5, it approaches 0. So that means you get 0 over 0. What that means is 5 is a factor in the numerator and the denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if it is indeed a factor of this. So if I factor by 2 in the numerator, I get x minus 5. That means 2x, and this will be negative 10. So I get that x minus 5. But since this is a quadratic expression, this one, x squared minus 25, that means that I can express, find the factors of this. I already know that it goes to 0 at 5, so that means x minus 5 is already a factor of that. So Then I'm gonna try to like find the other factors, but you see that this is a difference between two squares, so the factors will be x minus 5 and x plus 5. Now notice that the x minus 5s will cancel out, and then you'll be having the limit when x goes to 5 of 2 over x plus 5. Now when x goes to 5, this will approach 10, and 2 divided by 10 is gonna be 1 over 5. So that's basically the limit of this. So that's how you can like evaluate the limits of these problems, by just basically knowing how to factorize. And here it was a matter of like simplifying, and then yeah, then you can like be able to like evaluate the limit. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe.